right, so it is 5 o'clock. If I may ask someone who is sitting in the back of the room would be willing to get up and shut the door for the panel. Thank you very much. We're gonna go ahead and get started with geeky cooking, everything, and the kitchen sink. So I'm going to introduce our panelists here. My name is KitKat. I have been doing a lot of cooking for probably since I was about 12 years old, and I'm now 31. You can do the math how long I've been doing that. And I really enjoy spending my time in the kitchen.
I'm Dani. I've been cooking since I was like at least second grade. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Renee Peterson, and I have spent 30 years before the fire, cooking in a fire, on a fire, under a fire, around a fire, next to a fire, and I teach people how to do this, as well as teaching young humans how to read. I have a stack of stuff to share.
I'm Kate. I write for Twin Cities Geek. I do the domestic geekdom. So one of the things that I do is review nerdy cookbooks. And then I also sometimes write little articles about themed food or drinks for particular things.
I'm Scott. I'm Kate's husband. So I help her cook the things in these cookbooks when she's getting ready to write articles for things. I also just really enjoy cooking as well.
He also has to eat the things that I cook.
Are they good?
Sometimes the recipes are questionable, and we just cook them to figure out if they are functional.
I love having a guinea pig to test out our recipes on, don't we? So I think this panel is going to be a lot of talking about geeky cooking. I know that I don't think there's another panel talking about cooking in general, let alone cookbooks. I'll speak for these books up here. If you would like to come up and look at them at the end of the panel, you're more than welcome to. Please don't walk away with it, or I might hunt you down. As for the rest of the panelists, I don't know if they're willing to share theirs, but I'm sure it's all right if you were to ask and whatnot. If they say no, please respect that. On that note, we'll just jump right into the topic here. So what I want to know, for those of you who are doing a lot of cooking, how do you make cooking an enjoyable process? I've known people who don't enjoy cooking, and if you have any stories or experiences, are there ways that you do it in a geeky, nerdy way of doing so?
Are we going in line?
We can go popcorn style. I can start with Scott. I can start with Dani.
I can start. I think one of the biggest thing that switched cooking to be an enjoyable thing for me is thinking of cooking not as I am making this dish, but more of thinking each time I'm making something, thinking of it as iterative, in the sense that you're gonna mess up. And so rather than getting hung up on, did I make this right, I think about what went well, what didn't go well, if I would do something different, if I would not do that one again, or if I would think about if there's like a technique or something that I just need practice on it. And just switching that mindset really helped. Enjoyed the process. There was a second half question about the nerdy part. I don't remember the second half of the question.
If you have any stories to share, if you've got a way that you do this in like a geeky or a nerdy way of doing so, whatever that may look like to you.
Listening to nerdy music while doing it, and doing stuff out of nerdy cookbooks.
Or listening to Dimension 20 as a
That's amazing.
I don't know if I approach it in a particular way. I guess one of the things that I tend to do is if I'm working with a new recipe, I do get pretty nervous if I'm working with something new or a technique that I've never done before. So I read the recipe over a couple of times so that I understand what's going to happen before I actually do it. So I'm not in the middle of a recipe and going, oh crap, I should have done this or that, or like, oh, I need to go out and buy whatever. But just kind of knowing that it's not, cooking is not science, baking is science, but cooking isn't science, and you can change things if it seems like something you either need to or you want to change. You can usually do that, or the internet is kind of helpful in that if you don't have something or you need to change something because of dietary reasons, you can usually find suggestions for substitutions or whatnot.
I come at it from a research perspective. I've been doing living history for, must be 35, 36 years. So coming at cooking, that was an entirely massive revolution, because prior to that, it was all about what my grandmothers were teaching me, because my mom cooked from a recipe every time. There was no way my mom could wing it. My grandmothers, however, had this slide rule in their head of ingredients that go together. And it took a while, but they hammered that into my brain along with how to make bread. Now, I have celiac now. I can make bread and not even think about it. My hands just do it, and I can't eat it. How sad is that? So, of the books that I brought, since I do historical cooking, I have limited food sheds that I work with. One of the books that was really quite eye-opening is this one, Dining with Shakespeare. This has been out of print for years by Madge and Lorwin, and I'd be more than happy to let you peruse this book. Please be careful with it, because I have hammered on it, and the people who had it before me have hammered on it as well. So I'll leave that up here. Again, living history. Cindy Renfrow has some fantastic work. Take 1,000 eggs or more for early medieval cooking. Serra and Hanna Tunberg wrote this absolutely fantastic book, and this is where I got the idea for my book. Well, not the idea, but this book was one of the first cookbooks that came with a bibliography. And the cookbook that I wrote also has a bibliography, because I think that it's fascinating to look at the food shed, it's fascinating to look at the material culture, and it is fascinating to try and figure out how different cultures function within their food niche, milieu? I don't know what that word would be. And then one of my other favorites, I'm sure that everybody's got something like this, is the Church Basement Ladies cookbook. I got this one at a garage sale. This is the book of favorite recipes, Extension Homemakers Council of Madison County in 1970. If you don't have something like this, please go to the thrift store or the secondhand bookshop. You really need to get some of these. Oh my God, they are an absolute scream to read. We read these. These are a scream to read.
I've got quite a few at home that belonged to my grandmother before she passed away, and I have obtained all of them.
Well, the notes that are in these are just as beautiful as the recipes themselves. Particularly if you go into some of the 50s and the 60s stuff.
I love, it's like 20 recipes, and they're like, not really different. And like, okay, sure. I have Maud's casserole and Julie's casserole and Mary's casserole.
My personal favorite was Mr. Portman's favorite hamburger casserole.
Oh boy. Dani?
Geez, that's loud. I make cooking fun for myself by simply thinking, every time I make something new, it's just a new thing I can make for myself later on in life. It's also just a skill that I know how to do. And I also just generally love to cook.
Yeah, I also enjoy doing a lot of cooking, and especially doing it to favorite movie and or video game soundtracks in the background as loud as possible, to the point where my husband goes, "Could you just turn it down just a little bit?" Absolutely not. So what I want to know, since we've got so many cookbooks across the board here, what is your favorite geeky cookbook or recipe, and why?
Want to start in this end this time?
I think my favorite geeky cookbook is either one of my Harry Potter geeky cookbooks or my Baking Yesteryear from Dylan Hollis.
Renee, you seem like you got a list in your head.
Well, I'm trying to go through the list and find the one that's the furthest back. And really, it's not necessarily a geeky cookbook, but it's my mom's Better Home, which I have, by the way, and it is nasty looking. My mom's Better Homes and Gardens cookbook from about 1969. And the reason why that cookbook is my favorite is because it has whole sections of the book that is dedicated to the chemistry of cooking. It's not actually called the chemistry of cooking, but it tells you what acids and bases and, we would call things acids, bases, protein, what goes together, why do you need to have egg whites whipped to stiff peaks or soft peaks, what it all does. It really goes into the physics and the chemistry of how these things go together. And that has become the basis of my food slide rule in my head, so that I can do the physics and the chemistry, and I know how that all works. And then because I know how the physics and the chemistry work, now I can slide in some true artistry. And that's kind of, okay, I'm just gonna back up to here, because I'm just doing my teacher voice. Because that's where the artistry in cooking comes from. It is definitely an art, but it is also a science.
I think it's so important to know a little bit of the science, or to be so practiced with something that you have like a sort of inherent, you maybe don't have the ability to explain why, but you understand, like on a kind of subconscious level almost. But yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, the difference between if you're making ciabatta bread and you have to do that folding limited knead, and then you're kneading bread that's sandwich bread. That's a different chemical process in order to get the chemistry to work correctly once you add the heat, the change part. So absolutely.
Gotta make that good.
Yeah. Even though I can't eat it.
In terms of favorite cookbook, that's probably going to change the day that you ask me. Today, I'm going to say The Witcher cookbook. I was super excited when this came out, mostly because I just really like Central and Eastern European cooking. Like, I am a cabbage person. And there's a lot of cabbage in this book because the author of the Witcher books, Andrzej Sapkowski, he put a lot of like Polish and surrounding area culture into those stories. So the food is from that kind of stuff, with a little bit of French sprinkled in there. So I'm approaching it from the basis of, I like that food already, but the recipes in that book are really good, and it's a beautiful book. The makers of the game actually were part of it. CD Projekt Red, so they have like full like setups for the photography that are just like really pretty and full of stuff from the games / books. So that one's my favorite today.
I have two answers. One is also the Witcher book. That some of the stuff in there, like they're just fun to make. They're really, along with what Kay said here, has a lot of the kinds of things that you're doing are maybe interesting to do. I think one of my favorite recipes in there is, we've only done it a couple of times now, but it's like a stuffed cabbage roll, and it's a little bit labor intensive, but it's kind of fun to do the things in what you're doing. It has simple and it has challenging, and the things are very tasty. The other answer that I thought of, I didn't even think of Geeky as being, I have a historical cookbook, and I wouldn't even call it, I didn't know it was a cookbook when I bought it. It was like a history of food in the United States. And it's one of my favorite books because it's fun to read. It talks about like when we started cooking things and why we started cooking things. And then it has little recipes in between of like, here's like the earliest recipe we have of X. Yeah, no, that is literally why I was thinking that, because that was like my favorite recipe. Because like, if you ever want to know how to cook a beaver tail, it tells you. And it was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of cooking a beaver tail, but now I know how to do it. A good book. I didn't bring it though.
I think for me, personally, I'm in the same boat as Dani. I love the Harry Potter. I have the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook. I also have the unofficial college cookbook available at home, as well as the Supernatural cookbook. These follow recipes that you'll see throughout the show. For the Harry Potter one, it's more so like books or meals that are taking place in the book, like what food is being described, and it has little snippets that occur in the book series of where they're coming from. And also because with Harry Potter, I'm biased. I like British and Eastern European cooking and whatnot. I also love cabbage a lot, so completely understand that. I think that also kind of rolls into either thinking about your favorite cookbook or maybe thinking of something else completely. What do you look for specifically in a nerdy cookbook, and what might have drawn you to that book in the first place? Scott, I was stealing your question that you had posed on our emails back and forth.
Sure. I approach looking for cookbooks from a number of angles. If it's like when I go to the store, I look, say, hey, is there one from a fandom that I'm a fan of and might be fun to go into, and I peruse the cookbook, and I look for, and I do like having pictures. I'm not as sticky as Kay is about having pictures in cookbooks. I like looking to see, I also look for if it's interesting to read sometimes. Sometimes the books are better to read than to make stuff out of. One of the things I really like are nerdy cookbooks that have recipes that aren't just like there's a place for nerdy cookbooks that have like boba fettuccine, and you're like, okay, like fun way to get like kids to like cook, but it's not my favorite thing to look for. Like one of my favorite ones that we don't own is like the Magic the Gathering cookbook, which has like really weird stuff in it, and like really weird ingredients you wouldn't think to use, but like felt really authentically like this could be food from the world of Magic the Gathering. We've not tried to cook anything from it. I was a little afraid to. But like, you know, like kind of originality, that kind of thing are the things that I explore.
Yeah, a lot of those are kind of the same for me. I do kind of need to have pictures. It just kind of helps me find the recipes that I want to try. Because if I'm paging through and it's just words, I kind of just glaze over and I don't know what I'm looking at exactly. So pictures help me with that. I also think it's really fun when the authors of the cookbooks kind of get into the theme. So like this cookbook, it's not about any one IP, so there's a whole bunch of recipes from a whole bunch of different things, like books, movies, etc. So they don't really play into the theme sort of thing, but the Witcher cookbook, the Star Wars cookbook, and the God of War cookbook, they're written as if it's somebody who's like in that world is writing the cookbook. So they've got little blurbs in it. It's like, oh, this is the rondo meat wrap that we had on whatever Tatooine or whatever, you know. So it's always kind of fun to add something when you're reading the book.
Or like that one that has blurbs on blurbs, like it has like commentary on
Yes, this
commentary.
one, the Witcher cookbook, the last section is the Kaer Morhen section of recipes, and they have like almost, it's supposed to look like somebody hand wrote little notes on the recipes, which is really fun. But yeah, I think that all kind of adds to something special to it. It makes it a little bit more fun to look at. I also like to look for recipes that I think will be either not easy exactly to cook in terms of technique, but can I get the ingredients easily, or can I like do it with the minimal amount of equipment? Because I'm not going to buy like a sous vide or whatever, you know, for one recipe. But yeah, just am I interested in the fandom? Do the recipes look interesting, and like how much effort was put into collecting these recipes for this book?
I'm a research gal. If that bibliography isn't sexy and it doesn't consist of some primary sources, it's got to have some other things, like interesting recipes, illustrations, and of course, your spot removal guide. When it comes to some of the cookbooks that I have here, and what I did with my cookbook when I wrote it, is I also gave sources for where I could get ingredients. Because I live here in the Twin Cities metro area, and it's a massive metro area. I've literally got a deli from every single country in this world. So if I need very fresh or frozen fava beans, I just go to a halal market, or Bill's Imported Foods has frozen fava beans. Fresh frozen fava beans that I can go and get and make whatever it is that I'm going to make with that. Although I have a really excellent recipe in my head for fava bean stuffed cabbage. I know, it's got lamb. My brain just put lamb in there and some barley. Oh God, it's good. My brain does this at 3 o'clock in the morning. It goes, hey, you better write this down. And of course at 3 o'clock in the morning you're like, no, and your brain's like, gotta write this down. So sometimes I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I start working on the next cookbook. So I also like illustrations. Photographs are nice. And because I grew up with that 1969 Better Homes and Gardens cookbook, my ideas of really excellent photographs of the food, they're based in that cookbook. On the regular pages, there are, sometimes there's illustrations that are like this in the art of the time period, which is also extremely interesting to me, is I love the mid-century modern aesthetic, the mid-century modern aesthetic of the art and the line and shape. When it comes to the photographs, I like how the color combinations are in those older books, and if you've ever seen the photographs from the color photographs from the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, you notice that it's a slightly different palette than what we are used to in the, I guess we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century. That's like one of my students asking me, Miss Peterson, can I use a reference from the early 20th century? No. I couldn't help myself on that one. And then I corrected myself and said, yes, as long as it's appropriately cited, yes, you can use that reference. But Kenneth Petersen, early 20th century. So I guess that's what I look for in my cookbooks, and I don't know that I'm geeky so much as dated, maybe?
History nerd is kind of nerd.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was so deeply into history. I mean, an early meal. And I met Dan Serra, so.
Dani?
What I look for in geeky cookbooks is if I'm looking in a store, like Walmart, I'll look through the recipes and see if there's anything that I'm actually interested in making and that sounds good to me. Or if there's like a certain YouTuber that's making the cookbook and I just really want to try some of the recipes that the YouTuber is making.
Yeah, I think finding a cookbook that has a lot of recipes in it is probably worth more of your time and investment than finding a cookbook and being like, oh, it's this one nerdy topic, but there's only one recipe that I want to try out of it. So I think you gotta weigh your options of like, do I commit to the fandom that I love so much, or do I commit to how many recipes I can make out of this book? And I'll kind of roll off of that a little bit for the next question. Do you find yourself following more recipes, or do you try and deviate or try and add your own spin on a recipe, especially one that you have done over and over and over again? This is excluding anything that you're like, well, I haven't tried this recipe, I want to try it out firsthand. This is probably recipes that you tried, like maybe 2, 3, 5, however many times.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Dani, go ahead.
Well, when I make mac and cheese, since I make that a lot, instead of just doing straight up noodles and cheese, I typically add a bunch of spices to give it like a nice taste because I like spices. And if I'm making like boxed things like the pastaronis, I'll also add spices, but I'll also add like vegetables to it because vegetables.
Super double chocolate mint gut bombs.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Super double chocolate mint gut bombs. I'm going to explain this recipe. Years and years and years ago, my mom was part of something called the Sweet Adelines, the City of Lakes chapter. It was a women's barbershop group. And they came out with these cookbooks that were very similar to this. And I have those at home. Those are precious, very precious. And they are in really horrible shape because I've used them for years. And one of the recipes for a Christmas cookie, and I forget what the name of it was, but we dubbed it the Super Double Chocolate Mint Gut Bombs, is what we did that. And it's a very fudgy chocolate cookie that you have to have two of them. It's a sandwich cookie that you fill with a frosting that is smashed candy canes, butter, confectioner's sugar, a little bit of cream, and what's that last one? Butter. This recipe is extremely expensive to make because of the amount of chocolate and, frankly, butter that is involved in this recipe. You cannot double this recipe. You can only make one batch at a time because unless you go to the gym and arm day is every day, you can't make a double batch. You can make 6 single batches, but you can't do a double batch unless you're like the Hulk, because it requires some significant upper body strength. So we would make these in college, and we doctored this recipe and doctored this recipe, and then we added booze.
I think I see where the gut bomb is coming into place.
And you can only ever eat, at max, 2 of these cookies.
Challenges.
I'll have to see if I can make some of these, because like when I say gut bombs, you would eat 2 of them and then go, and you'd undo that first button because, oh man, the richness, the amount of, because you don't use cocoa powder in this, you melt chocolate. And there's a pound of chocolate, 3.5 cups of flour, butter, and sugar. That's the cookie, brown sugar. And you got some salt. And if you're not careful, they end up this big. So you have to be very careful about it, because we learned that, trial and error. And of course, we did try to eat the big ones after we put the frosting in the middle. It worked, we ate them. We spent the next 2 days awake, because that was the batch we thought we would put coffee in. It was really excellent, those cookies were really great. So, following a recipe I think is a great way to start, and even in my own cookbook. I have a lot of white space in my pages, so that you start with this recipe, so that you understand how the ingredients combine and what each ingredient is doing for the recipe. After you've made the recipe one time, I fully expect you to make it your own. If you don't happen to like horseradish, then put something else there. If you don't like that amount of salt, then don't put that much salt in. If you want more salt, well, sweetheart, go ahead and do that. If you are not a sour cream girl, in which case I don't know who you are, and you need to substitute some yogurt, or maybe there's no sour cream in your fridge and you got yogurt, you know what? Do what you need to do. A recipe is a good starting point. However, with the super double chocolate mint bonds, remember it's only one batch at a time.
Yeah, I frequently start out with the recipe as written, unless it's something super egregious that I'm reading it and I'm like, what? No, what are you doing? I think there was a stew. There was like 2 pounds?
Oh.
2 pounds of beef and 2 pounds of turnips. And that's it. I was like,
Did you get boiled with that?
That sounds boring.
So we like split up the difference of the weights, and we put like carrots and potatoes and stuff in there as well. But and then it was like makes 4 servings.
Yeah, we love it when the portion sizes are way off.
I gotta see this.
Because turnip stew.
Yeah, it was 2 pounds turnips starting with. A bunch of spices, 2 pounds turnips, a bunch of bacon, 2 pounds beef. Those are the main stuff. I mean, there's spices and
There's spices, but
It was
like
like
for
mostly-
the bulk of the
I gotta look at this, I really have to look at this.
yeah, and that just felt a little I don't know, kind of boring, like just beef and turnips. I wanted some other stuff in there, so we changed that one the first time that we made it. Turned out pretty good.
way more than 4 servings.
Way more than 4 servings. We were eating that for
Dang.
days.
I mean, when like one of the 2 ingredients is 2 pounds each.
Yeah,
That's 4 pounds of food. Who can sit down and eat a pound of food?
a pound of stew.
A pound of stew.
That's a lot. But yeah, we do like to change the recipes though when we try them, and we're like, oh, it could use something, or like, I feel like it would be better if we did this or that or whatever. One thing that I've learned is if there's ever raw garlic that doesn't get cooked ever in the recipe, roast it first. Raw garlic is too sharp and it overpowers everything else.
It's a bit like a slap.
Yeah, you get slapped in the mouth.
It was tasty.
It did taste after we changed it.
I'm also on, like, I like to do it mostly as written the first time, unless it's like, again, for like dietary reasons, or like you're out of something, like the number of times we've started something and be like, oh shoot, we're out of X, like can we sub out whatever we do. One of the things, so one of my favorite YouTube cooking channels is the Binging with Babish channel, where he does, if you haven't watched it, it's great, Binging with Babish.
Oh, yeah!
His initial thing when he started, and it has morphed quite a bit since then, but was like, I want to make X from whatever movie or TV show or something, like I want to try and model it. And he tries, the first time he does it, he tries to make the meal like as presented in the show. And then if it turns out great, cool. If it doesn't turn out great, he'll be like, okay, what can I do to make it better? And I like approaching things from that way of like, if we're doing something like, okay, this was good, this wasn't good, what can we do to change it if we want to change it? You know, increase, decrease things. Do I change presentation, how we cook it? Or like yeah, the garlic one, like, we have like it's actually in this book, they're looking at the picture of the Hutties slime pods. They're like, it's gnocchi with like pesto or something? No.
It's like it's a type of pesto, but it's not like the basic basil pesto. It was using some other stuff, but it
Raw
had
garlic.
just straight raw garlic in it.
And it would have been good minus the raw garlic.
And that would probably just reach up and take you by the ears and give you a good shake.
Yeah, we tried it and we're like,
Which maybe is intentional, like given, you know, it's hut food, but for human, I would cook it.
Have y'all seen Tasting History?
yeah, there's one.
Yeah, Max Miller Tasting History. Wow. So since you're talking about binging with Babish, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I also recommend it if anybody hasn't checked out Binging with Babish. Very good place, especially if you're learning how to cook for the first time. Another one actually that comes to my mind, he's changed his YouTube channel name, but it's Barry Lewis. He is a British YouTuber who has been cooking in the kitchen like very, very beginning. His YouTube channel used to be called My Virgin Kitchen, because he had no idea what he was doing. He was just like, I'm in the kitchen and I'm learning how to cook and you're gonna learn with me. And now he's got at least 2 cookbooks now, I think. I want to say maybe a third if he's not already working on it. But I highly recommend that. And something else I was going to add. I probably inherited a lot of my skills in cooking, mostly from watching my grandmother as well as my mom. And that has turned into the whole, we're going to throw a whole bunch of stuff in the pot and see what works. And that has resulted both between my grandmother, my mom, as well as myself now, married to my husband, of making recipes that were really fantastic, that were really good and tasty. Nobody wrote down what we put into it. Nobody wrote down how much of what was put into it, and then we never make it as good ever again.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent a little bit, but it drives me so insane. My grandmother has a really good cabbage roll recipe, and I asked her oh, could you write down? She's like, oh, I don't know, I just kind of do it. I'm like, that's not helpful, grandmother.
I asked my grandmother one time to explain to me my little 7-year-old self. So I say, Grandma, how much salt am I supposed to put in this bread? Because when you made bread in those days, you made bread on Saturday and then on Wednesday if you needed extra bread. And she goes, you just put in this much. How much is that, Grandma? Well, it's this much. My hand is smaller than yours, Grandma. Well, then use 2. So my little 7-year-old self is trying to come to terms with this, and when she was measuring flour for the bread, she had a cup. It was a coffee cup. It was a coffee cup. I have no idea to this day. I never knew exactly how much flour she was using to make all of this bread, because we made 5-6 loaves, and she'd just take this coffee cup and
I think that reminds me, actually, kind of going off of something that Dani mentioned earlier, Baking Yesteryear, B. Dylan Hollis, on his TikToks and videos of, I think there's a recipe where he uses measurements of using a teacup, and that's how the recipe is written. I can't remember the name
So
of it.
many old recipes are just like one package of this, and it's like, well, the package size changed since then.
Even in the last couple of years, package sizes have changed. Like, you get a can of soup and they're like, oh, it used to be 14 ounces, now it's 10.5. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy 2 cans of soup just roll with whatever you got. On that note, we have reached the point in time where we can start opening up questions to the audience. We've got about 20 minutes left in the panel, so if there's anyone who has any questions, there should be little colored cards on the seats nearby. If you have a question, certainly just raise it up. And I already saw you have a question already, or are you just getting ready? Okay.
My question is, can you think of any examples in media where they represent cooking really well? Or even better, if there are any video games where you do cooking in a reasonable way?
Renee wants to start.
What do you mean by reasonable way?
Actually, have you seen, it's a British murder mystery series called Brother Cadfael. Has anybody seen this? Okay. Brother Cadfael, since I do a lot of this history stuff, they have some really, really excellent depictions of not only the herb stuff that Cadfael is doing, but of what people are eating and how they are eating it, as well as the material culture surrounding. And the research that went into the production of Brother Cadfael is something that is very, very near and dear to my heart. Now, another one is I, Claudius. If you have seen both of those have Sir Derek Jacobi in them. And the amount of research that went into both of those period pieces was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
In terms of like IP that has cooking, well, there's Stardew Valley and there's a Stardew Valley cookbook. And it has a whole bunch of recipes from the recipes that you make in the game. There's the Breath of the Wild. It has the cooking mechanic. And I feel like there's a recipe book. I'm not sure if it's official or unofficial, but there's people out there who are making functional recipes to make the things in those games.
And in terms of, it's not TV or movie, but like in books, Brandon Sanderson's, what is this big old series called?
Wave Kings.
No, that's the first book. The Stormlight Archive, yeah. Cooking comes up in certain amounts of some of the story. One of the characters, I'm going to be very careful how I word to not spoil this, cooks, and stew particularly plays an important part in character development and in terms of also mental health and thinking about how to think about things. They talk about it both functionally, what makes good stew, and also very metaphorically about it. And it felt very, very realistic in terms of cooking and in terms of how you think about stew and what flavors might go well or not go well together, or like how you think about cooking, or as well as like I think it does a good job of portraying like the social aspect of cooking and about how cooking brings people together and connects them in ways that people need to be connected.
And there's I'm gonna out myself. I haven't watched it. Is it Dungeon Meshi? The cooking, but I've heard it's a little. You can't think about it too hard because some of those things might be sentient.
That's a great IP for cooking.
I'm going to say something here that's going to totally date me. Otyx spiced potatoes. What, there's only one of you that knows what Otyx spiced potatoes is? Seriously? You call yourselves geeks.
Dani, did you have any examples that you can think of media that is accurate in terms of like cooking?
Not really.
Okay. So I'll give you a chance if you need anyone to think of that was out there. I think, I know it's a little cartoonish, but it's kind of fun. With the game Overcooked 2.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, my friends and I, like just on a whim, we decided one day we were gonna just get together and do like a movie night, but we were gonna take Overcooked like recipes and like throw everything together. We made s'mores along with it, and let me tell you, s'mores with bananas and or strawberries is so good. It like completely changed the flavor profile, and it was just delicious. And one story that comes to mind actually makes me laugh. If we're going to talk about like accuracy of cooking and such, I had my same group of friends over and hanging out, and I made a charcuterie board. And my friends had never heard of what a charcuterie board is, never saw it, and didn't have any idea. Yeah, no, I know. So I introduced it to them, and they were like thinking, oh, you just take meat and cheese and you eat it, and you do other things. So they saw me take a cracker, and I put brie cheese on it, and then I popped a green grape on top of it and ate it. And they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, eating the charcuterie board. And they were like, I don't understand. So I was like, all right. Just take a couple of things. It doesn't matter what it is. Just grab a couple of things that you might think that might pair well together. Even if it doesn't, it's an experiment, and that's kind of the beauty of a charcuterie board. And so,
Experimental buffet.
yes, tiny experimental buffet. And one of my best friends, she tried the one that I had talked about. Cracker, brie cheese, green grape. Popped in her mouth, and she went, I think I had my ratatouille moment. And it makes me laugh every time. And now whenever we do a charcuterie board, and by the way, neither one of them can pronounce charcuterie correctly, no matter how many times I say it, which is even more hilarious to me.
Charcuterie.
Yeah. I don't know who had theirs up, but I'm gonna go with the yellow in the back first.
Yeah. Well, that side or?
All the way on that side.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see it. Was there another yellow?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. On the right, my right, your left.
Sure. So I'm having nostalgia moments of, I remember the early Great British Baking Show where they actually went into the history of the food rather than just the contestants, which I love the contestants, but I'm really loving that I'm trying to eat history because it's like, I like seeing how food kind of came to be. Do you guys have any recommendations for any other media that can give that vibe of, here's how food came to be here?
Tasting History with Max Miller.
Yes.
Seriously, Tasting History with Max Miller is really about the best one. And then the next one that I can recommend is Will I Vike, V-I-K-E, It. Made by a gentleman in York. He's got several cookbooks out about Eat Like a Viking. He teaches classes over there, and eventually, because I did an interview with him, an online interview this last winter, on the freaking coldest day of the year, I was cooking outdoors using an onion as a hammer, because my onion was solid by the time we got done. Yes, he has an absolutely fantastic podcast that he uses a research food shed and comes up with some really excellent recipes doing that with a niche food shed.
I also have recommendations. Townsend's.
Oh yes, oh yes.
American cooking. There's one that I like called Glenn and Friends. He's Canadian. So
That one's good too.
Canadian historical cooking. And then there are more general channels like English Heritage and a lot of museum YouTube, like History Museum YouTube channels also.
Oh, there was one that was really popular during the pandemic, and I haven't seen it for a little while. The Australian guy who swears a lot. Did anybody see that one? Yeah. Well, he had long hair.
Also doesn't narrow it down.
Okay, long hair, tattoos. He was a white guy from Australia, swearing, throwing food. Oh, well, you're right, but this is anyhow, so he had a really excellent thing. And I know that there are some people who are looking at me going, I still don't get this Otic spiced potatoes. Okay, have you read Dragonlance? Miss Peterson, can I use a reference from the early 20th century?
Now that's late 20th century.
The book that I was talking about earlier, that was history, is a really good one. It's called The American Plate, A Culinary History in 100 Bites by Libby H. O'Connell and Libby O'Connell, which maybe is the same person. It's weird that it has the same person's voice.
That's a good one.
Really great. And it's like kind of presents, I think it's even chronologically, like what kinds of foods were we eating in different time periods and like when was the first time we ate X. It's really interesting.
Anyone else on the panel have any other recommendations of historical?
This is a really random one, but if you can read Spanish, we one time found this really interesting book that was is it like peasant breads or like it was breads baked in Spain, like in all the different regions by different levels of the socio-economic strata and everything, and it was in Spanich, unfortunately, and I haven't found an equivalent book in any other language or any other country, but it was super fascinating because it would talk about this is the bread that like was made by these people at this time, like super interesting, but like if you go to the cookbook section of a bookstore or the library is a really good resource, or a used bookstore, you can find really interesting books there that might be like really historical base of different things, and it's super interesting. It's really fun to find those things.
You made me remember a series, I think it's on Netflix, it's called The Cook of Castamar.
Yes.
Oh my God. The Kitchen. You should write this down, The Cook of Castamar. Castemar. It's in, I don't know if it's Spanish or Basque, but it's got subtitles and I recommend so hard. It's almost, I would definitely call it food porn. I definitely would. When you see the kitchen and how the kitchen is running. And the same thing with Downton Abbey. I love how they're working the kitchen. I love the differences in how the kitchen staff are eating versus what the upstairs people are eating and where the leftovers go and how that, the whole socialness around food. So definitely The Cook of Castamar.
Speaking of food porn.
Okay.
Be careful. My Googling is terrible. I should not Google that here. But anyway, the anime food wars. There's a lot of cooking to literal, maybe orgasming in the show about food. It's really, I think they do a good job of portraying what they're actually doing, which is kind of fun. Oh, this is how you would cook that in a very graphic sense.
Sometimes, like, the food that they describe in things, you're like, I need to eat that.
Yeah.
Like, Redwall?
Yes.
Redwall books?
Yes.
I still desperately want to taste Dandelion Wine because of those books. And all the Ghibli movies, all the food in those, like, I want to eat that.
Why do they look so good?
I just
Not as easy to make as it sounds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the blue card up front, then the yellow card that was all the way in the back on this.
I was gonna recommend Food Wars. Somebody.
Oh, okay, good. Blue card in the front.
Okay, so my question is kind of geared more towards Dani. She's laughing because she's my daughter, but. I know you love to cook. What is something that cookbooks for kids could do a better job of?
Yeah.
Excellent.
To get more kids interested in, how to feed themselves as adults.
Ooh, maybe including a couple of like slightly more advanced ones.
Okay. Like more advanced than
Like
what? Because I know which cookbooks you have.
What are you saying, like in a way that gives you a little bit more of a challenge? So
Yeah.
that you're learning more techniques.
So like learning
Yeah.
how to make a sauce or something like that.
Yeah, and
I have a question for you. Do you have the Padawan cookbook?
I do not.
Because that one is interesting.
We're still working on it.
I just wrote an article for Kids Geek, 3 cookbooks that are geared towards kids, and one of them was a Padawan cookbook. I got it from the library, so check out your notes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic book. I 100% agree.
It's super great. It's late. This is a different one, I think maybe. The Padawan cookbook is it's set up where it's split into trials, and each trial gets harder in terms of cooking. So it starts off really, really easy, but like every time you like kind of go through it, and it has more complex recipes and stuff. And it has really interesting food. I think there's a recipe that's based on inari sushi from Japan. There's one that's based on, I'm forgetting the Korean term, but kimchi pancakes.
Oh.
So it kind of explores different cuisine as well.
Padawan what?
The Padawan cookbook. I think there's some subtitle in there, but
That one? Oh, I have seen that one. Ooh.
Yellow card in the front.
And this goes back to the TV shows with more historical context. Going back to the late 20th century.
Not the early 20th century?
No, late 90s. True Fat Ladies.
That was fantastic.
Because it focused on early 19th century, late 18th century British everyday cuisine. You don't have kidneys and liver.
Yeah.
I remember there being some historical context, but being a child of the late 20th century myself, my memory is not as good as it used to be.
That's a little sauce. Yeah, but the other thing that I really loved about Two Fat Ladies, and if y'all haven't seen it, it's on YouTube, is they looked like they were having such a fantastic time.
But it is so, even back then it was so not correct.
Oh, it was so incorrect.
It was so much fun.
It was an absolute gas to watch, because when they're drinking wine, they're drinking the wine. I mean, it's not like Julia Child, and when she drops the roast on the floor and goes, and remember, you're the only one in the kitchen. I don't know if you've never seen it, it was hilarious. I used to be on Channel 2, and apparently Julia Child was having a little bit of a tipple there with the cooking cherry, and she drops the roast on the floor and picks it up and dusts it off. And remember, you're the only one in the kitchen.
All right, so we are at time. I'm going to let the panelists, if you've got any other panels later today, you can spout those out. Otherwise, just kind of reintroduce yourselves, and that's pretty much it for the panel. Scott, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I don't have any more panels today, but I am a member of the Hearts and Make Drumming Group, and we have concerts tomorrow at 11, and Sunday in the Holodeck, and Sunday on the main stage at noon 30. So come see us play. We're loud and loud. And fun and loud.
We also have badge ribbons if anyone wants hearts and badge ribbons. No, from us. Because then you can talk about cooking too. Yeah, I'm Kay. I don't have any other panels, but I am also on Hearts and Echo,
So goodbye, my name is Renee Peterson. I do have one more panel today over in the sandbox. At 7 o'clock, we're doing catapults. Now the other thing I'm going to make a shameless and unabashed plug for is volunteering. Remember, volunteers are the folk that make this con. So, if you would like to get discounted parking, if you're spending like 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours volunteering, and it's easy to do, particularly in the sandbox, you can get a parking voucher so that you're only paying a not quite $5 million, it's more like $1.5 million. Actually, I think it's $18? For all day parking. You don't have in and out privileges, but you can absolutely, so you get cool prizes. One of them is this fan, Waha. You get some very specific badge things. You get a free t-shirt, and depending on how many hours you participate as a volunteer, there's cutting boards. I don't know, do you have enough cutting boards?
No, but I want that bento box.
Yeah, they got a bento box. They've got reusable silicone zippy bags. They've got a cooler bag for your groceries. A fan that folds up thus and thus and thus. So yes, go see the Nerf herders and get your volunteer hours in so you can get some spiffy cool prizes. Right? And then if you want to come up and look at any of my books, particularly this one, and make sure you get your spot removal guide. Get your spot removal guide taken care of. There you go.
Again, I'm Dani, and I don't have any more panels today.
I'm KitKat. I will be moderating one more panel tomorrow night at 11:30 p.m. That will be the caffeine is the lifeblood of geekery. So that'll be fun to do. Yeah, 100% I'll be sitting there in the middle going, okay, let's get this show on the road. Thank you everybody for coming to the panel.
Yeah, please come up and look at the books.
Yeah, feel free to come up and look at the books.
Look at the books.